Welcome back to the Local 865. I'm Dr. Bruce, Doctor of Acupuncture and Chinese Medicine, and we also have, go for it.
Toby Downey, Senior Pastor, Holston Baptist Church. Glad to have you on the porch with us today, and we've got a special guest, and I'll let you do the introduction.
And today we have Jay Landers, and Jay's going to give us a little bit about what he does in the community, how he got involved, and a little bit of a history of how he helps out. Go for it, Jay.
All right. Well, I guess the biggest thing that we do in the community, and one of the most important, we're assistant youth directors at Grace Baptist. I'm also a Shriner, a clown. Um, I work with Children of Hope. We do so many things. I forget. We on the CASA board for quite some time. CASA is a board where it gives legal support for children.
Nice.
So it's a really worthwhile cause. Um, Basically, my wife and I, Shannon, we try to focus our attention to the kids in the community,
That's
the
great.
kids that actually need our help. We raised 6 kids of our own.
Wow.
The oldest is old. I won't tell you the age because you can figure out mine. The youngest is our last child graduating high school this year. He's off on his own, and every once in a while we'll call him and schedule a meeting with him so that we can know that he's alive and breathing. So a lot of our time goes to well, this year goes to the grandbaby, but a lot of our time goes to just helping the community. If you ever heard of Elmo Train that has worked in the community, I'm one of the balloon guys on it. Like I said, CASA is a very important one. I encourage y'all to look up that one. And then Children of Hope out of Morristown, where we do ministry. Um, we're it's funny. My dad's a minister. We're base Pentecostals, but we work within the Baptist community. We go to Grace Baptist. So when we switched over to Baptist, my dad said I had backslidden, and the Baptist people said I was finally saved. So,
Well, as a Baptist pastor, I'm going to tell you, I can label you.
oh yeah,
I hate labels, but I label myself this. I'm Baptist Costal.
oh Baptist Costal, definitely.
Baptist Costal.
You get all the strange questions when you're Baptist-Costal. You
Yeah.
just kind of go, okay, well, God's really our focus. He's who leads us. And I always say to to anybody who thinks about the Bible, Revelations, and God coming back, I love the time down at the altar. I love the time that you work on yourself.
Mhm.
However, when God comes back, I'm going to be swinging a hammer. It's going to hit somebody in the altar. You know, it's going to go flying across the room because I'm going to be out there working, whatever it is. I'm going to be doing what God has asked me to do or is giving me the impression to do. And that doesn't mean we're always right. Sometimes we do things and we think it's God. And sometimes we do things or don't want to do things. And it is God. So the idea is to get out there and to make a difference in somebody's life. And we pre-talked before this and didn't say too much about it, but we've had kids come up to me. One girl came up to me many years ago, and she said, "I need to talk to you." And she was in a bad situation. She was in a bad situation with being taken advantage of. Of course, immediately I call over my wife, and the people we know, I was able to get her to the right people. And you sit there and you think about those type of situations where you literally made a difference. And then I think about uh, a boy I call my son. He's 22 now. He's not one of the 6, but you we if you ask him who his dad is, he'll say his dad, and then he'll say, "Well, Jay claims to be my dad too." But I spoke at his wedding, but we had him at Children of Hope, and from a young child, his mother's a wonderful, wonderful single mom, and just throughout the years, he's become one of ours. So when you look at that idea of creating a relationship that lasts for years and years with these kids, give them mentorship, that's awesome. But also sometimes God puts you in the right place at the right time. That young lady I talked about, I don't have a relationship with. She's gone on in life, but it's not about what you can count at the end of life. just about doing and being out there every day. If you, I always say to my guys that whenever I'm in the Shriners, I was like, we got a lot to do this weekend. If you're working with your family, go work with your family. If you're tired and worn out, sit down. If you're catching up on the Gilmore Girls, show up.
Mm. Prelude to a sermon on Sunday morning, Luke chapter 5, the four guys that were carrying the stretcher.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't hold the miracle, they held the hope.
Yeah.
And they faced what I'm getting at through the 3 points, the poem, and the prayer, that's what's expected of us, is that a lot of people have servants' hearts,
Mm-hmm.
but they run up against their first I can't and they quit serving.
Yeah.
They're not a helper. And that's, it's funny when you said that before we started rolling. Uh, you just want to be a helper.
Yeah.
People don't emphasize. Helpers don't get medals. Helpers don't get recognition. They don't get limelight. So a lot of people just don't throw in a little help and say, "This is my part in doing for my community." Is because they're chasing the recognition. Those four guys that brought the guy on the stretcher to Jesus and they couldn't get. He was surrounded by clay. There was people at the front door, people in the house, and then whenever they got up on the roof, literally they were facing the terracotta clay of the ceiling. And in order to get that person to the help that they needed, they had to get the clay out of the way. You've probably heard that being Pentecostal before.
Yeah, Dave Pentecost. I did. Never heard of it before. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I
you've
have.
heard that. You've heard the gist of that sermon.
Yes.
But what the point I'm chasing is in one specific verse is whenever we are given and afforded and equipped to do something for somebody else, but we see one obstacle, we catch a bad case of the I can'ts, and that keeps a lot of people from volunteering and loving on each other.
And go ahead.
There was two things that you brought up, and I wanted to bring this to attention because it's important. The amount of time that you're spending in that community, you're making really great connections where you have access to people and opportunities that allows you to match up people to the proper help.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people who think they're helping, but they're not qualified. They don't have the right expertise in it. And the story about the young lady that you were talking about, you were not the right person for the job, but you knew the right person for the job because the amount of time you spent in the community, and that's what the community does. We have this webbing that has no weaver. We're all kind of intermingled, and we start starting to see access points for everybody else. And the last thing there on that one is when you're born into this world, there is no quota on how many people you have to help, and to take that into your heart and like, I can do that. I can help that person.
Well, that brings to mind the story of the twigs. One twig breaks easily, a bundle of twigs, it's much harder.
That's right.
And that's super important to realize because, I own a business, and in my business, I've been called a savant, which also means you're an idiot, by the way. It does not mean that but I've been called many things. But whenever I pull my people together, I think about what their strengths are.
Right.
And their strengths have to complement my weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
In a community, when you go out there and you start making friends, you start doing that networking thing, you need to network people who complement your weaknesses, even your private weaknesses. Those things that, one thing me and my son, we talk about things just in depth as he's moving over. And he was asking, he says, he was trying to evaluate his siblings. He's like, well, this person is more like, or this brother of his is more like mom, you know, my daughter is more like me. And he says, but I have both, 50-50. And I started talking to him, and we started talking about depression and how we deal with it. And started talking about his brother who has to feed off somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he has a fiance. You know how that works nowadays. He has a girlfriend, a free fiance, and he's excited. He's got a good life because he feeds off her energy. And when he's without someone to feed off of, he seems to kind of fall. And we talked about that. So as you're looking for people who you're going to work in the community with, who you're going to spend time with, look at the people that feed into the energy that you're using. Um, one thing that used to bother me, you talk about the helper scenario. My dad was a leader, as a pastor. As a pastor, you know, he did everything. And one thing that really stuck out to me is there was no helpers. There was no way to help him go forward. And my mother, my sister, my brother, we fed off his energy and we just kind of went with him, you know. And I kind of inherited a lot of that because, like I said, I couldn't sleep, so I started working at Matt's all night. And I'd get like 2 hours of sleep, and everybody's like, "How can you do?" I don't know, I can't sleep, so I wanted to do something with that time. But now as we work in the community, I look for the position where I can assist someone, to where I can actually work with them so that they can accomplish what they need to do and not be drained. When you look at it, look at the people who complement what you do in the community and what your desires and what God's put into your heart. And then as they come in, you start becoming a team, and then that twig effect happens, and you just the effect on the community. You know, I just mentioned a lot of things, right? I mentioned that I could have mentioned what we do for as Masons and with the family, but again, that's one of the private things that we do. I can talk to about what we do with mats, like we do point in time count every year. And there are a lot of things, but what I'm not telling you is each and every one of those things I have people with me. And even though it appears that, and I've been told before, you never stop, I'm just going from one group to another group that keeps carrying you to the next group. I don't, like I said, I watch TV like anybody else. I watch a show. I could put about 30 minutes of time into a show. I sleep a lot more now, but I only sleep like 6.5 hours instead of 2 or 3. I'm sure that'll catch up with me one day. I'll talk to my acupuncturist about it.
Yeah.
But you know, everything I do is with a group. It's never just me. And in those groups, you're talking about having people connected. A lot of people will go with me. Like I have people who help me in Children of Hope, but also help me with mats. And I don't
Explain mats real quick.
Oh, Morristown Associated Ministry, Baptist Ministry. I forget what it means. Sorry. If they see this, Tanya will be very excited
You'll
with
get
me.
reprimanded.
Yes. So Matt's you could call it a homeless shelter in Morristown, and that's a very crude and undefining term for them. And the reason is because they take in families that are a family of people that are in need, right? They don't have a place to stay there. They are homeless. But when they come in, they support them to get further. They they give them the support to go get that job and be able to come to the house or come home to Matt's. They help them figure out their social security if they're doing that. They help them with the different life skills you need help with to get to that next step to where you're self-supporting, right? They do a warming station during the winter where the homeless can come in and get warm. And it took an advantage it took an advantage a lot with the warming station, but they're working on it. So Matt, you can call it a homeless shelter in Morristown, but that would be wrong because it's giving opportunity for people in need to better themselves. So
Tommy, the guy I mentioned before we started, he worked with that some. I
oh
know
yeah,
that they've done clothing drives.
oh yeah, clothing drives, food drives. They hand out baskets, and probably a good 15 years ago, I was, like I said, I was a case manager, and I would stay on there overnight. And that worked fine with me because I mean, yeah, I probably dozed off a little bit, but if any of the alarms went off, I would have woke up. Um, but we, that was when I was actually, I went to Dr. Brewster, who was over it at the time, and I wanted a way to reach out, you know, and he gave me that opportunity. He gave me that. It also taught me a lot about ministering, kind of guerrilla warfare type ministry
Mm-hmm.
to where you're in an environment where it's obviously very not God, but God's there with you. You always notice people. If you mention that you're a Sunday school teacher, that you're you're at a church, they always change their way.
Oh yeah, it,
Yeah,
it disgusts me.
yeah. Um, it's just funny.
I don't put makeup on for you. Don't put makeup on for me.
Correct. And So in that environment, you start dealing with people and they're wrong because they're seeing you every day and they just don't. And you're able to work with them instead of going by and saying, I pray for you. You go by and you say, well, I went through something similar and this is how God helped. And it's a much easier way to kind of minister to that person. By the way, if you ever say you're praying for somebody, don't not pray for them.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
better pray for them.
Yeah. It'll catch up to you.
Nowadays, I do a lot of point time count. So once a year, the Shriner Club that I'm president of, we financially try to help them out. But once a year, we go out and we do a census of county homeless people. I know but that census is brought up government, and then all those grants that people write, that's how they decide what they're
Is it
distributing.
Hawkins or Hamlin?
Hamlet.
Hamlin.
And so I kind of go to the night crew because nobody will do the night crew. And I have to give credit to my Shriner buddies and Mason buddies because all I have to do is ask, and I have like 6 guys who normally go to sleep at night that will drive around Hamlin County for me and walk into homeless camps in the middle of the night. And although when it comes to weaponry, we are legally able to take it, I always tell the homeless guy does not have a gun. We carry a big flashlight. And that's all we got. We're going into these camps, and these guys will walk in, and we got a routine that we do, but it's still dangerous, and they're doing it with the mindset that the census is going to be correct, and the funding for this area, not only for mats, but for. I love how a lot of have you ever noticed charity organizations kind of compete sometimes?
Oh,
Yeah.
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 There's limited dollar bills out there.
Yeah.
Let's not go into details.
Yeah.
Okay. We might get thrown off the air, but there's a lot of people trying to help the homeless community, and there's limited money.
And there's also people exploiting the homeless
Yes.
community and putting money in their pocket. The homeless community is one of the biggest money laundering operations in the world if it's not for the heart of God being
Uh, and it's funny you say that. The heart of God has to be in you because it is so easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
It is. You're right. It's literally you pull this large check, and all you have to say is, "Well, I helped."
Yeah, I fed.
I
You can
fed
go to
500.
you can go to McDonald's, go through a drive-through, fill your back seat up for I don't know $700-800, and go pass that out and then cash a check. And that's what just being a nonprofit. That is an obstacle and a hurdle. Everybody's having to come over with now, especially with the light shining of certain uh, investigative groups into
Mm-hmm.
unaccounted for monies or just block grants.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's that money has dried up, and I love it because now we're seeing people have to put their wallet where their heart is, and it's not just because a lot of people give. Praise God for givers.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's a giver. I will put this caveat out there: if you are a giver, be careful what you give because takers don't measure what they take.
Yeah.
But as you give for something that's bigger than you, whether it be your time, your money, assets, anything, as you give, take accountability of where that gift goes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, measure. You'll get frustrated a lot saying, "I'm tired of giving my time. I'm weary. I'm tired of losing sleep." But when you are granted the opportunity to see the payday in it and the blessing of it, it's worth it, no matter how frustrating it
Oh yeah.
is. But make sure when you do give, that's why I encourage people to personally volunteer and be interactive themselves, because you don't have to, you are accountable for where your time or your asset goes. And so many people like that blank check feeling of saying, oh, I gave this or I did this. And, well, what they're really in it for is that receipt in April to say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is tax deductible. And it makes them feel good. I tell you, you don't know what feeling good is until you see somebody's life change because you were the conduit that the Holy Spirit used to change that person. It's not a homeless encampment or it's not that environment or that community. It's that one person
Mm-hmm.
that you sit down in front of and the eye contact and the personal relationship. And yeah, you might not see the end outcome of their life, but you know right then something pivotal happened and they're living a different path.
And that's important. It's important to, sometimes you do need to see some fruit. to give you that energy.
Yeah.
Um, but you can't always expect it, and it's something I try to teach my kids. You know, I wish I look at my kids sometimes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have been a better dad. I should have told them this or should have told them that. But one thing I did tell them that seemed to resonate is to go out there and do something that is good for your community. Do something. I started a warming station too, but
With the hot chocolate, right?
with the hot chocolate. Yeah, my wife almost left me on that one. Kidding, but
Yeah.
spending night after night, and your wife, you're talking about, if it's not for God, you can take so much advantage of. My wife would go probably 4 or 5 days without seeing me. But that's why we got into children's ministry and walked out of the homeless ministry. It's just simply so I could be with her because I knew that I was taken away from her. But the I went in and I started a shelter. I was there every single night, and we started um, advertising. You know, and I thought, well, if everybody knows what we're doing, if everybody knows we're doing, they got to help, right? Um, we got a magic visit from the fire marshal, and he walks into the building, and I know the guy, and he said, "Okay, you don't have a sprinkler system," and I said, "I own a business." So I was like, "Give me a week, I'll put one in." He said, "We are at the bottom of Radio Center in Morristown, had a little spot there." He said, "Oh no, the way the code is, every attached building has to have a sprinkler system." And I looked at him, I was like, "So I'm going to pay for a sprinkler system." And then, like I said, I knew him. I said, "And if I could do that, so he goes, I found something else." And what it came down to is that competition thing, that where people they want to help, but they don't want it in their backyard.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard to really get out there sometimes, and sometimes and do your best and be shot down. So sometimes it's better just to do it and know that the only person that's watching is God and you.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like I get more done that way.
I'm an advocate for working that way. And so what if you move the world and nobody sees it? The world's better for it.
Um, we could go for hours. We could go point to point to point. What me and my wife, or me or my wife have done. Because my wife's a school teacher in the Hamilton County school system.
Speak up a little bit more.
My wife is a school teacher in the Hamilton County school system.
There you go.
And we could go on and on and on about all the things that we've done. It's useless. It's fun. You're not going to get into heaven if that works. In fact, I did a lesson 2 Sundays ago, and it was we have a member, not a member, well, a member of our group that are losing their father, right? So I decided great time to talk about death, and this father was questionable, all right. So in other words, they didn't live a holy life, and there at the end they're trying to get everything right, and we talk about the thief on the cross.
Didn't get baptized.
He didn't get baptized. He didn't
Didn't go
do
to Sunday
anything.
school.
He didn't go to Sunday school. He didn't go out there and minister. He didn't go out there and feed the hungry. In fact, he probably stole from the hungry. He probably, did all these awful things, and he's in heaven. So what gets you to heaven? Salvation only, offered to you. And if you accept it, if you go, my dad would say, there's a lot of good people going to heaven. And in the same note, there's a lot of what we would consider bad people going to heaven. So when you do these works, you go to Ecclesiastes, which is everything's vanity, everything's smoke, right?
You're the only other person I've ever heard say that word.
Vanity and smoke.
Smoke.
Well, it's because vanity was the derivative. My dad has this theology
degree. Well,
we had this conversation.
I burned mocks in my church
Mhm.
when I preached that. And I said, everybody sees the smoke,
Mhm.
everybody smells the smoke, but I want to see you try to catch the smoke.
Ah,
We spend more of our life with a handful of nothing when we have an opportunity to have a heart full of God.
yes. Oh, that's better said than I could have ever ended it out. But you're exactly right. It's just if you are doing anything other than for the fact of doing it, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Yep.
God's given us a purpose. Fulfill that purpose. There's people God's given the purpose not to be out there helping homeless. Uh, there's this one woman who felt called that she needed to minister in Hawaii, and I have no doubt that she was called to do that. She was actually a very wealthy woman. Her circles were very high class. She did great in Hawaii. She went over to Hawaii and she ministered, and her and her husband did a great job because they were like-minded people to the people they were ministering to, and they made a difference. Wouldn't it be nice if God would call me to Hawaii or maybe one of the Bahamas or something like that?
North Florida Panhandle.
Yeah.
Listening.
God calls us to different places, and sometimes you're called to places that are pretty messed up. I come from Macon, Georgia. Um, I have a very grassroots extended family. I will not mention the book. My sister just wrote a book about our entire family, and we're just like, wonderful. It is a good book, but I just don't want to promote it. No, I mean I'm gonna be marketing it. It's just inappropriate. But God called me and where I'm comfortable with. I'm comfortable here.
Sometimes he calls you out of comfort zones, though.
Well, you're exactly right. It just so happens when it comes to sitting around guys that maybe smoke too much and spit tobacco and everything, or maybe the homeless people that just don't bother me.
No,
So,
well, you said
yeah.
you wanted to incorporate your wife in your ministry.
Yeah.
I go to great lengths to insulate my wife from my ministry.
Yes. My dad did that.
Because it's my job, it's my calling. Her calling is to be my wife. She don't have to wear the dirt that I have to wear. She don't have to know the secrets that are divulged to me every day. She doesn't have to live in proximity to the filth and the excrement of the world, and I insulate her from that. But the drawback of it is, I see her when we take a vacation.
Yep.
That's it. Uh,
My wife came to me and asked for more of my time.
I don't like that conversation.
Yeah. My response was, "Do you want to help me?" And she was, "I would love to, but God's not calling me to that." And I said, tragic story. Don't need to talk. I lost my little sister. And children, believe it or not, every one of my brother and my sister that are alive, their lives are revolved around children somehow. So either way, I looked at her and I said, "Well, what do you want to do? And what are you feeling?" She's like, "I really want to work with children." I said, "Let's pray about it," and we did. And I said, "Okay." So I went where she was at. Um, that's a hard thing to do, um, but God had completed. I felt completed in what I did with the Holy Spirit. And if I hadn't have felt completed, I wouldn't have been able to leave. But I look at the life that I've lived, and God's always prepped me for the next step. And the stuff that I knew about the homeless community, it seems like in a lot of cases I was working with the kids. Um, and there's a lot of stories about when I was homeless, about a father who everybody thought he was a dirtbag, but he wasn't. And while they were going through a DCS scenario, he slept outside mats every single night because his wife wanted him to, but legally he couldn't come into mats or on the property. I watched him closely because I'm there as the protector. He's a good guy. Stories about after the homeless little girl or the boy or the I'll try to say it without crying. Lost one of my best friends, military, shot himself. If you've ever, I'm a veteran, and I didn't go to active combat. Um, but anyway, my buddy did come back and couldn't handle it, and he shot himself. And I'm working through this ministry, and I'm at Children's Hope, and this kid comes up. I did not know who he was. Stands up and he's just crying, and he's talking about his dad shot himself. I put one and one and realized that my closest friend, because when you're out, you don't always know the family, right? In the military was his dad. You know how God gave me that opportunity, not for me, but I was able to tell him things about his dad he didn't even know, just the fun stuff that me and him had done in the field. And we do a lot of crazy things in training. You know, um, God's always got you, and He's always going to reward you. Follow Him. Watch for the completion of what you're doing, and then realize, like I said, you're not there to catch up on the Gilmore Girls. You need time to rest. There's a time for everything. You need time for your family. You need time to learn. That's the biggest thing. People don't want to learn today. And you need all this time, but nowhere in there was time to just waste in front of the TV or in front of the phone or in front of a video game. By the way, I said I was software marketing. I wrote video games. I like playing video games. Back in the day, I wrote video games. Um, None of that is worth what you'll miss if you're not out there, or what you'll miss. Yeah, if you're not out there, I said.
No, that's right. You're absolutely correct. And that's something we talked about last week was the engagement of community and how much more enriching it is, and how we have isolated ourselves and created our own uh, mental health problems by just being stuck with
Mm-hmm.
the Gilmore Girls or playing video games or scrolling through Facebook endlessly. Um, no, I'm glad you brought that up because something that I don't know if I brought this up last week, um, but Jessica was looking at these massage chairs at Costco, and the whole concept of human contact being absent in my office rubbed me the wrong way. It's just we don't contact each other enough. There's not enough of acknowledging you here and appreciating the time that you have with these people. And some people are very ornery and hard to get along with. Other people you might want to spend more time with. But we have to be at a point in our lives where we're comfortable with ourselves to accept everyone and show love to everybody. That agape love, the brotherly love that we should be able to do.
We talked about that actually after we finished the podcast
Yeah,
last week, and I got under conviction, and we've had 3 services since then, and all 3 services that we've closed holding hands and praying.
great.
And that is the personal contact. That is what humanity is missing right now. Because
Yeah,
for about 18 months, if I touched you, I died.
yeah,
If I breathe the same air molecule, if I got some of your CO2 mixed in with some of my oxygen, I was going to die.
right.
And that made people so
Isolated, tribal,
paranoid.
But we're doing that still with other cultures as well. We brought up um, the Black Molasses flooding in Boston and North End. That whole North End was all Italian, and everybody hated the Italians at one point, just like how they hated the Irish. Um, but we're doing it again. We're doing it again with uh, not just here, but like, oh, the Californians, oh, the New Yorkers, oh, the Floridians are up here now. We're becoming so isolated and tribal that we're not even seeing these people who are actually committing to their community. And Toby had brought up most of the people who are active in the community that we've met aren't from this area. And you're from Georgia originally.
Well, wait a minute now. I went to middle school. I started in middle school in Dandridge.
Okay.
And I make fun of my buddies. I got friends that come from California. By the way, yes, you're right. Most of the guys who help me actually are from out of town.
Yeah.
And I would say a good, well, I'd say 50-50. And a friend of mine lived up in Boston. I believe it was Boston. Either way, and I'd make fun of him because he was like, "You're an out of towner." I call him a Yankee, even though technically that's not a Yankee. And my wife was very smug, and she waited until all my friends were out, and she said, "Jay, where were you born?" In St. Paul, Minnesota. You
Oh,
know,
you
and
were?
I was born in St. Paul, Minnesota,
Yeah.
and I was raised in southern Macon, Georgia. And I came up here, my dad being a pastor, a Pentecostal preacher, they had to move every 4 years back in the day.
Yeah.
Talk about rough. And you wonder why pastor kids are mean. But um, we finally settled in in Dandridge, and then I went to Atlanta. So yes, Georgia's a lot, and then I came back. So I don't tell many people that. I always pretend I'm a local
For what?
because I've been a local for well, as an adult for over 20 years, but a long time, long enough to see where Dandridge went from a country town to some kind of resort.
Yeah, it's a little
And
strange.
yeah, and Morristown to come from a mid-level city to way too much traffic on the west side.
Yeah.
And I don't even live on the west side. Um, so yeah, those Yankees and foreigners and Californians, man, they keep coming in.
Well, the reason I brought that up is it was a gauntlet
Oh yeah.
for people that are from here because we are very good. I'm not from this community,
Mhm.
and the community that I am from is very diverse from this community.
Mhm.
I'm from Greenback, Benfield. Um, that our minds inherently were as closed as a liquor store on Sunday afternoon. That's the
Yeah.
way we were. Does that translate to Strawberry Plains? Yes, quite a bit. But I want to challenge locals. Don't just be good at complaining about what's happening in your community. Be proactive. Change something. Work for the betterment of it. I laugh about it because Strawberry Plains around the Carter Middle School, Carter High School area, we have what I call the sidewalk to nowhere.
Mm.
They mandated, hey, we're going. Well, I'm sure they got a lump sum of grant money somewhere,
Well, we got the same
but
thing in Morristown.
but we'll build a sidewalk in front of a new construction zone and not attach it to anything.
Mhm.
Is that prosperous for the community? No. The, when it turns prosperous when everybody else says, okay, we'll build a sidewalk too.
Yeah.
We will build a sidewalk, not waiting for somebody else. Well, our mentality here in localized South is, hey, well, if these people are moving in, they want something done, let them do it. And
Yeah.
so I kind of challenged that, and I haven't told you. I did tell you Tuesday. Kind of been approached again about politics. And the last time that we went through that, it was post open heart surgery, and I didn't have much of me to give. I didn't have that much of me to give. And it really put a bad taste in my mouth. And I was like, politics, no, politics. Well, right now, I'm watching my community be transmorphed into something that is not sustainable with development. We don't have infrastructure. And I feel like if you know what district I live in, you know what we're going through with growth. But if we don't have a livable infrastructure, are we benefiting the Californians? Are we benefiting? No, we're opening ourselves to more trouble than. Um, but I won't say opening ourselves. Anybody that comes in here, be prepared because this is not set up to handle the inflow.
You know, I have friends on both sides of the aisle. It seems like politics determines people's personalities now, so we'll try to
That's
avoid
sad,
that.
isn't it?
It is very sad. Um, you look at the Californians. Um, I'm going to use just a friend of mine that is very close to me. He moved, him and his wife moved from California. What they had to give up to be here. You know, they had their community saying, we're the locals. Unfortunately, their politics there had gotten so to a point that it was just unlivable for one reason or the next.
Sure.
Be it financial, and in this case, this gentleman, it wasn't financial. It was just he had a core belief that he felt he had to follow, and it just wasn't his community.
Mm.
And so he moves down here. So they gave up everything and moved down here. And in a lot of cases, because a lot of these people that are moving in, they're not moving in because they have family here. They're moving in because they found Tennessee to be hospitable, unless you talk to us on a bad day.
Yeah.
Uh,
Bless your heart.
yeah, bless your heart. I love that one. But they met their political mindset. People aren't moving here, and we know what the majority of Tennessee is. And when people move in here from California and these other states, I mean, it's black and white
Mhm.
what this state believes in, and they're moving here anyway because they have a similar belief. They can do great for us, and it's kind of like when we think about immigrants coming into this country, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, they're taking away our resources. In some case, they are. But do you want those immigrants to grow up and be ignorant? You want as these California people, and when you bring them in and you treat them like you would treat any other neighbor, because we open doors for complete strangers.
Mhm.
We say hi to people who we don't even know, and when we, by our actions, teach those guys to do the same and build the sidewalks. A generation from now, we're still going to have what? Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then some guy's going to be making fun of another guy, and his wife's going to come up and say, "So where were you born?" And they'll say St. Paul, Minnesota. You know,
I didn't have sidewalks growing up.
I didn't either.
The our
I had
sidewalk
dirt road.
our sidewalk was the side of the road.
Macon, Georgia was the last place I saw gravel roads, dirt roads, and they would complain because they would come out every year and gravel that dirt road.
We had what is that called? Hot oil and gravel.
Oh yeah.
Starts with an
Um,
M. Okay. Uh,
it's nasty, is what it
Yeah.
is, because it makes the
We
road
always
bumpy.
called it tarred and chip the road.
yeah. Hard and chip.
That's what we called
Uh,
it. And man, you couldn't go outside barefoot when they put that down because it'd be all over your feet. Oh my
yeah,
god.
I've been on a few roads like that.
Yeah, my mother would get so mad because we had hardwood floors, and you'd see that tar all over the floor from us running around out because we never wore shoes.
Yeah, we're doing construction on a house right now. My son keeps walking in with dirty shoes. I'm going to give him a wash rag next time
Mm.
and a bucket of water and make him mop that floor.
Whenever people ask me for my ID and where I'm from, I show them my bare feet, and usually I got my name on my belt.
Yeah, I stand out.
No, not
No.
Yeah, but
Oh, before you stand out, he's in a kilt again today. My kilt hopefully is coming. My Lindsay Clan green and orange kilt hopefully will be shipped soon. But that reminds me to ask you a favor. If you're still with us, I want you to do us a huge favor because it helps reach other people. And if you want to consider hitting the like button, a source of volunteering, then volunteer, hit that like button because that'll help us get out farther in the algorithm and reach more people. So we would appreciate that a great deal. And while you're there, down top of the links, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and that way you catch us next week too. And we're talking to some really incredible individuals, people that uh, have very assuming roles that go with unassuming recognition. And it's an opportunity for you to get inspired, go out and do something, change somebody else's life, change somebody's today. Don't worry about tomorrow yet. Just change her today because so many times, and this is becoming more prevalent in the ministry, so many times I'm catching people on one of those last days where hope is gone, they're giving up, and be that facet, be that interjection of love, be that energy and that fusion of hope. And you can do that from feeding the homeless to changing somebody's light bulb. But you can't do it and you can't receive that blessing unless you're present to it. So that's what we're after here in most of our guests and most of our conversations is just finding not just a better you. The internet's full of better yous. This is an opportunity to take that better you and do something else to better somebody else's life. So just an understanding of who we are and hit the like and share and subscribe and all those mantras that we always have to say. But you're doing us a huge favor when you do it. So I want to tell you I appreciate it when you do it.
And you don't have to join a club or a group to do anything. Even the simple task of just calling somebody up and say, "Hey, I was thinking about you. How is your day going?" Just to give them that moment to say, "Hey, somebody's thinking about me. Somebody's caring about me." That goes a long way, and it's appreciated. You might hear a download of things that are going wrong, but it also gives you the opportunity to be a sounding board and give them some love. Like, yeah, I know it sounds like it's rough, but you're 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 doing it. You're making it happen. Some validation and some positive energy goes a long way. So
Oh, I need to say something.
say something.
Um, Smile.
Yes.
It's infectious. And that's a cheesy thing to say, but the most truest thing you can say.
Yeah.
Everything you do, do with a smile, and it changes the way people are thinking.
Yeah.
Mm. When did you notice that to be most prevalent?
When I would come home from church and my mom would wear me out for not smiling.
Mm.
No, no. Since, like I said, I come from a pastor family. I was told a lot of these things at the beginning, and I noticed at the very beginning, he smiled. It changed the entirety of everything. I could get in trouble at school and smile, and it just made things better. It's an amazing tool to smile at somebody.
It's so discommitting to people now to make eye contact and smile at them. I love it. But because you remember for like what year and a half, we didn't see each other's faces, and 60% of our communication is nonverbal. It's all in inflection and emotion. And everybody put that. Some people put a billboard on their face. Some people put a diaper on their face. Call it whatever you want
Norton
to.
antivirus.
Yeah, we were advertising with our face, and we lost eye contact. And the reason I noticed this is because I didn't know I was deaf. I mean, I at best
Oh yes.
I'm at best 43% uh, hearing able, and when everybody put on a mask, I realized I was saying "huh" to more people than my wife. That was our conversation. She would say something, I would say "huh." Um, well, out in public, that kind of is troubling when you're in the people business. So I had to do something about it and wear hearing aids. But more than the ability to read lips, I just realized people, when they took the mask off, they forgot how to smile. There was a lot of people that still retain that mask because they didn't have to smile.
Yeah.
They love that. Oh, nobody knows my emotions. Hey, listen, you want to be a better poker player, go play poker. But you're not fooling anybody with something on your face. When you smile, when you make that contact. I was in the doctor's office the other day. This gentleman come in. I know what era of combat he served. And the lady that was checking him in she was having a bad day. Okay? She was having a bad day. And he wanted to pay cash. He said, I do all my business in cash, and she was just, I won't say on what she was, but she was one of them. And he told her, and he did so very discreetly. He said, "Ma'am, you are triggering my PTSD." He said, "I was a combat veteran, and luckily I had my hearing aids in, so I was able to eavesdrop this." And he was about to make a scene, and uh, I just kind of interjected and said my piece. I said, "Come over here and sit down with me." We went and sat and talked. Didn't talk about her, didn't talk about the situation. I was just in the right place at the right time and loved on the dude. And that's all he needed was somebody to know he was not isolated, he wasn't being singled out. It's just the way this office did business. Yeah. Now, was I pleased with the way they did business? No. Was I pleased with the way he was treated? Absolutely not. But I diffused that simply by being present in the moment. And no, it wasn't my business. And I don't like people being in my business, but sometimes businesses have got to overlap to work together. Mm-hmm. And chilled him out. We sat down, and everything. Uh, we've lost our humanity when it comes to our our cordialness. I guess you could say if you want to be from the South, we are not cordial towards one another. Hey, you want to break that bad habit? Interject the good habit of going and doing. Don't need recognition. Don't need applause. I just want to see your day better, and that's going to make my day better. Yeah. Does it make you tired? Wears you out. Does it sometimes cost you resources? Yeah, but you'll never miss them. You just got to be willing to show up. You're not showing out, and let your life affect and impact that other person to a degree that it's agape love.
Yeah.
Very much so. And again, I'm visiting Coastal, so I get that record.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, agape.
All right, guys. I think this is it. We have anything else?
Pleasure to meet you and have you on the porch, buddy.
Oh,
Uh,
oh.
I'll shake your hand. I love you.
What's that?
You'll notice that Bruce and I don't complain much on here because every Tuesday morning at 8:30 I have a standing appointment to complain to Bruce.
Yeah.
He complains back at me, and you got to have even that. If you got somebody to listen to you, it validates your viewpoint of life. So go listen to somebody. You don't have to go preach them a sermon. Go listen. That might be all that they need. I'm Toby. This is my porch, and I'm thankful for it. And I'm blessed to have it. More blessed to have friends, and we've been blessed to have you join us.
With that, learn to let things go. Just let it go. Um, you can, if you hold on to that stuff, it's gonna ruin you. It's gonna ruin your family. It's gonna ruin the way you are perceived in the community. Uh, it's okay to get upset. Everybody gets upset, but afterwards, wash your hands of the situation, forgive the situation, move on. Because it's not going to be the first or last time you'll be upset or agitated or frustrated.
Today.
Yeah, so just enjoy it. Many times when Toby or and even Jay, recounting things that have like frustrated, there's a laughter in my voice. I am actually enjoying the whole situation because I'm a sick man. But we have to understand it's all theater. Just let it go. You got something?
Well, since we've done this twice, I want to say, just say goodbye.
All right, we say
Bye.
goodbye.